My name is Liz, and I am a lifestyle educator here at Positive Choice. And you are tuning into this because you are on your first week of your full meal replacement program. Now, the first week you don't actually start the shakes, so you will not need to come into the clinic. So I repeat, on this first week you do not need to come into the clinic. Simply watch this video and please follow everything that I ask you to do. So what you will need is a pen, and you will need your binder, and it's great to have a piece of paper or even a journal that you might designate for your class. It's really great to have for notes to refer back to as you move from week to week, okay? So first I want to make sure that you are having your binder out so we can turn to many different spots in Section A. Section A is your guide and your friend for this week. So I do advise you to read through the entire Section A, and I'm going to point out some specific sections that will really support you on this journey. So, congratulations. All right, so we have page A14. So A14, that's your daily behavior records. It should look like this. Now, most of you already know about these daily behavior records. A counselor may have already called you to talk about these. Basically, these are your food truth log, okay? This is simply the truth about what you're putting into your body, what you're eating and drinking. Now, some people will use this as an opportunity during this first week. While you're still eating and drinking like you usually do, you may want to modify already what you're doing. You may want to move into a little bit of a healthier space. You may want to move into a place where you're reducing or practicing with portion control. However, that's not a requirement of the Food Truth Records. This is just a suggestion if you feel up for that. So follow what works for you. So in that, it's pretty self-explanatory, but you're going to want to write down what you're eating, the portion, the amount, how frequently, and once you complete this, you'll hand that in when you come in on your week 2, your designated day for your class. On week 2, you'll come into the clinic and you'll bring these, you'll hand them to, when you check in to the nurse practitioner, I believe is who you'll hand those to. And they will make sure that their lifestyle counselor, such as myself or somebody else that is in charge of your class, will get those daily behavior records. Okay? All right. So we're going to move on to A29. So A29, things to know when checking in for your week 2. Okay. So this is going to tell you everything that you need to know about the product, about ordering, and all of that good stuff. Now, sometimes it can be confusing, but just remember that the receptionists who will be taking your order are really great at this. So they're there to help you. So please do, number 1, take time to read A29. And I'm going to go over this with you. Okay? So for me, it's a pink sheet. In your book, it's white. Okay? So don't look for a pink sheet. You're not going to find it. Okay? All right. So NutriMed and OptiFast 800 are the supplements. Now, some of you will be on NutriMed and others will be on OptiFast. Now, we'll pause to show you a different form. The way that you'll know what you're on is through this form. Now, it is this color. It's this lime green. So let's pause and take a moment for you to find this in your book. Now, should be at the back of your binder, there's a sleeve, and that's where we have other papers. So this greenish form should be there. If not, on occasion, 1 or 2 people in class will not have it. No worries, we have all the information for you here when you come into the clinic on your week 2. However, most likely you have it. If you do, please take a moment, open it up, pull it out. Let's take a look. So this is going to tell you, you'll see on week 2, it's going to tell you your prescribed product, okay? It's going to tell you if it's NutriMed And it's also going to tell you, or it's going to tell you if it's OptiFast 800 or if it's OptiFast HP. Okay, so please note which one that you have. Then below that we have the soup. So some of you, it's going to require you to be having soup. Others, it's not. Now this has to do with your sodium intake, and this was determined by the medical team. So that will say on your letter if you are taking soup or you're not. Okay, all right. Now we're going to come back to this lovely pink sheet, which is white in your book. And we're also going to look at this, which I don't believe you have in your book, but this is what your order form looks like, okay? And that's why it's important for you to know if you have the NU or the 800 or the HP. Okay. So, for your shake, so what I want you to do is read through this entire sheet, okay? So things that you need to know in week 2, read through the entire sheet. And then I'm going to also explain to you how to do the ordering. Now, for your program, you're going to have 5 shakes a day, okay? 5 shakes, and then you're going to have a water requirement as well. So your water intake requirement is 120 to 150 fluid ounces. Now again, all of this is in your book, so if you read all of section A, you're going to get all of this, all right? So what the number one thing that's important when we talk about water, I'm going to start with that first, is to know how much water is in your trusty water bottle. Any guesses? How much is in this bottle? 40 fluid ounces in this big giant water bottle, okay? So a minimum for the day, I'm going to have 3 of these, minimum for today, okay? Now, half of that can be water that you put into the shakes, and half of that is straight up water, okay? So half of your 120 can be just completely just water, so 1.5 bottles of this is complete water, and then the other 1.5 of this is going into your shakes, okay? So it's a great idea when you're thinking about your water consumption of how you're going to do that throughout your day. So making sure either you have a specific water bottle, knowing how many fluid ounces it actually holds for you. If you're going to use buying individual water bottles so that you know that that adds up for the day, finding a way to keep track of your water is really important, okay? You need to make sure that you're well hydrated. Being well hydrated also helps you with any hunger that you might incur. Sometimes when you're feeling hungry, it's simply because you're dehydrated. So it's very important, if you're feeling that hunger, to first drink some water. See if that helps to satiate. If this does not help to curb your hunger or to satiate your being, then you are going to need to make sure that you have a shake or some other, some intake for your body, okay? All right, so moving from water, let's get to the fun shakes, all right? So, on the order form, it's going to tell you, and in your sheet, your things to know when checking in week 2, you can follow along here. It's going to tell you the different flavors. Now we have chocolate and vanilla, and we have mocha and wild berry. So I cannot tell you which ones to choose. However, what I've heard from students in my classes is what's really great, if you're more of a chocolate person, then go for chocolate. If you're more on the vanilla side, go for vanilla. If you really like coffee, go and get the mocha, okay? Wild berry, hit or miss, okay? So this is what I hear often. I often see people leaning more towards the chocolate. However, again, it's really up to you. There's no real way to know until you try it, okay? The other things that we have are the soups. So we have a tomato and we have creamy chicken. Now I'm talking about the NutriMed people. It's very similar for the OptiFast people as well as what we offer. However, I'm talking about the NutriMed people at this time, the NU, okay? So with that, there's the 2 soup options. Again, similar kind of way. If you're a tomato soup kind of person, choosing the tomato soup. If you're a chicken soup kind of person, chicken soup. Makes sense, all right? You'll also see on your order form that you're going to have an option for fiber, and there's also an option for bouillon, okay? So you will need to be taking a fiber, okay? Now you can order the fiber that we have here, but that's not required. It's just we make that convenient for you, and it's a great fiber that we have. However, if you have a fiber that you already are using, continue using that. Just make sure that it's the zero sugar, 0 calorie. Okay, that's what we're looking for. If it has 3, 4, 5 calories, you're fine, but we really want to make sure, so usually you're looking for the unflavored fibers. Okay. Now, how much fiber should you take? Well, that's a great medical question, so that might be addressed more in the medical talk with Adit. However, the basic answer is know your body. So if you're somebody that's a little bit more on the constipated side, then you're probably going to want to take that maybe twice a day. If you're somebody that's a little more loosey-goosey, then you're going to take that more like once a day, okay? But again, listening to your body and following accordingly. Please do the fiber. As soon as you start doing the shakes, you're going to want to be on the fiber. Simply because if you're not consuming actual food with the fiber, the fibrous material from the food, then having this all liquid, it tends to make it harder to less bowel movements, okay, happening. So you can expect to have less bowel movements. However, we want to make sure that you're going on a regular basis. Very important. Okay. Keep wanting to say, any questions? Okay. If you have questions, write them down, because that's where when you come in, or when you have your week 2 and you speak to your counselor, great time to bring up those questions. Okay, so we got the fiber, we reviewed the shakes, the bouillon, okay? So now the bouillon, now you'll see in that green sheet, it's gonna tell you about your shakes, and it's going to tell you about your, if you can have the bouillon or the soups. So, the bouillon is something that it's an optional item, so it does cost a little extra to be able to order that, so you do not have to get the bouillon. The reasons why that students tell me they use it is because it can help just to have a little something extra. It can help, especially at nighttime, to have a little curbing of that hunger. It can just feel nourishing to have something hot and simple to drink. However, remember that bouillon is something that's going to have a higher level of sodium, same with the soups. So let's go to looking at the shakes and the soups and what a day would look like for you on these products. Okay, so we're going to go to the board. Okay. So on the other side of your things to know and checking in, there is a chart. So on the other side, it will talk to you, it will show you, it'll show you the shakes and the soups and the products and what you need to order. So I'm going to show you this here on the board, same thing. So on your day 1 of having the shakes, say that your class, your week 2 is on Tuesday next week. And you come in sometime on Tuesday and you pick up your shakes and everything. And then that next day, Wednesday, you're like, I'm going to start full on that Wednesday, and I'm going to want to do my shakes. This is how we're going to do it. Okay. So, we're going to say this is Wednesday. You have to design the way that you design your day will determine when you're going to have these shakes and how you're going to space it out, okay? So, let's say you're somebody that wakes up at 7 a.m. Wake up at 7 a.m., what's the first thing that you do? Smile. Go use the restroom. And then, hopefully, we're going to have a glass of water. It's really important. You could have a half glass. For some people, a full glass of water is a little too much. It's really great to have that at least a half glass of water in the morning, get your system woken up, get your system moving, okay? Then we want to have, potentially within an hour, a shake, okay? So we want to make sure that your body's getting the fuel it needs to get going. So, wake up at 7. Now this is just an example. You're going to adjust this for your schedule. Let's say 8 a.m. Shake number 1. Okay? Now then we're going to move to, we suggest that you have the shakes every 2 to 3 hours. Now that helps you to kind of stay ahead of the game, to continuously be nourishing your body so that your body feels like it's fueled, it's good to go, it doesn't have to hold on to the calories because you're continuously feeding it, right? So if we follow the 2 to 3 hours scenario, then what time is the next one? 10 or 11 a.m. You choose. So let's say you were like, oh, I couldn't get to it till 11, and I didn't really feel super hungry until then. So there you go. Shake number 2. Now, if we follow the 2 to 3 hours, 11 a.m., 12, 1, 2. Let's say 3 hours. You're like, okay, so 2 p.m. Shake number 3, 5 p.m., and then 8 p.m. 4 and 5. Okay, excuse me, sloppy writing, all right? Now just notice, this may or may not work for you, and it depends, and if your schedule is varied, then you're gonna have to see how you can do that. Some of the other things, logistically, you're going to need to figure out. If you're somebody that is still going off to work, then you need to figure out, okay, well, how am I gonna make sure that I have these shakes all ready to go? Some people will make them the night before, and then get a cooler bag, put them all together, they're ready to go for the day, and then you don't have to be concerned about it, okay? Now, you might need to be the kind of person that has the same schedule day to day to day with your shakes. However, if you have a different kind of schedule, then you're going to have to be making sure you're planning appropriately. All of this is great because in this whole scheme of making sure that you maintain a healthy weight and a healthy way of living for yourself is planning. So it's really, this planning for your meals is always going to be there. So it's a great time to really schedule that and figure that out for yourself. Questions? Okay, so now things that come in the way oftentimes that I hear from my students is, well, my work schedule changes, I'm one of those people that I'm used to, just serving other people. I get really involved in my work, I get really involved in my day, and then I forget to eat. And then I do it all at night. So if you're one of those people, or just maybe not all day, but you're one of those people that's used to nourishing others and then nourishing yourself last, this is your opportunity to start turning that around, okay? So some of those things you might need to even put it in your calendar. You might need to put it in your phone. You might need to put it in somewhere that's gonna remind you, ding, make sure you nourish yourself with a shake now. It's shake time, and you have to really work on honoring that. It's very important that you do 5 shakes every single day, day to day. 4 shakes is not better than 5. Now the reason why is because each of these shakes is, one shake is 20% of your daily vitamins and minerals and nutrients for the day. So if you only take 4 out of the 5, then that means you're missing 20%. It's a very vital 20%. And in addition to that, it is a very low calorie plan. So your body really needs all of those calories. So please do yourself a favor and get all of the 5 shakes in. Now, what happens, Liz, if I am running out of day? I'm like, it's 8 o'clock at night and I've only had 3 of my shakes. What do I do? Well, if that happens, one, learning opportunity, how can I really work on my schedule so that the next day that doesn't happen? What boundaries might I need to set the next day? What planning do I need to do? How can I revamp my schedule, revamp my strategies to be more successful, okay? Beyond doing that, you need to make sure that you can do this. This is not something we want you to do on a regular basis, but if you need to, you can double up. You could have shake 4 and 5 at the end of the day if you needed to, okay, together at the same time. Now, that's only if you ran out of time, and that needs to be a rare occasion. So if you find that that's happening more than a couple days in a row, kind of ongoing basis, please do communicate with your counselor so that you guys can strategize about that. Okay, sound good? Still there? All right, let's take a deep breath. So, during this time, self-care is very important. So make sure you're doing those nice deep breaths whenever you need them. Just make sure that you breathe them in. And if somebody's near you, you might have to breathe to the side, right? Safety first. All right, welcome. Part 2 of your week 1 and we are going to look at ordering the shakes. So when you do come in, you will be using this little sheet. The receptionist will help you. However, it's nice if you can be familiar and have an idea of what you want to order, so that when it's your turn to pay the money and check out, that you know basically what you're going to do. Okay? So you have shakes and you have soup. There is an option of bouillon, and then for those on the OptiFast, there's also bars. So I'm going to break all of this down. Okay? So in one day, you're going to have 5 shakes. Okay, 5 shakes. Every single day, 5 shakes. We want to make sure that you have 5, not 4. Now the reason why is each shake contains 20% of your vitamins, minerals, and nutrients for the day. So if you only have 4 shakes, then that means that you're missing 20%. Okay? Now especially now, you want to make sure that you're getting all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients for the day. Also, it's a very low calorie plan, so we want to make sure that you're fueling yourself and fueling yourself well. 4 shakes is not better than 5. 5 shakes is the best, and it always will be. Okay? All right, so let's look how we break this down. So if you have 5 shakes in one day, then how many soups can you have? 0. Okay? Now if you have 5 shakes in a day, 0 soup, you can actually have 2 bouillon if you like. Now the reason why I'm putting that line here is because these are in a category all their own. The bouillon is optional. Some of you will want to use the bouillon, others will not want to use the bouillon. Most students have told me that using the bouillon is helpful with kind of curbing those cravings. It can be helpful with just having something soothing and warm. And it's just a nice little small added amount of calories. Now, in your green sheet that we've talked about before, it will tell you if you are somebody who is required to have soup, required to have that sodium. Others, you might be restricted, so pay attention to that. And if you have questions about that, you can always ask your designated lifestyle educator or one of the medical professionals here. Okay? All right. Coming back to the board, we're going to look at different scenarios. Now, we've got. Now, say you didn't want to have all 5 shakes, because the shakes are sweet and the soups are salty. Say you want to have 4 shakes. Then you can have 1 soup. 1 soup is counting as the same as your 5 shakes. That this 1 soup is the 20%, right? The 4 shakes, that's 80% of your vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, right? This always has to equal 5. Whether you do 4 shakes and 1 soup, or you do 3 shakes and 2 soups, these must always equal 5. Cool? All right. Now, down here is where it gets a little funny. Now, if you have 3 shakes and you have 2 soups, how many optional, if you want it, bouillon can you have? 0. Now the reason why is because you can only have 2 a day maximum of something that has that sodium level, okay? So if you say you were like, I love bouillon, it's super yummy, I'm gonna have some of that today. Then what you would have to do is you can have 1 bouillon, if again it's optional, if you'd like that. Then you can only have 1 soup, because you can only have what? Up to 2 sodium-based items a day. However, the tricky part is you need to make sure, again, these up here have to add up to 5. 4 shakes, 1 soup, 1 bouillon. Make sense? I hope so. And if not, again, communicate with your lifestyle educator or one of the medical professionals. We're here for you, and remember, this is new. So if you have questions, we're here to support you in the journey. In a couple of weeks, it'll be easy breezy, no problem. All right. So I think we've covered that piece, the bouillon. Now, remember, so some of you OptiFast people, I didn't include something else. Bars. Sorry, NutriMed, you can tune out, you can take a nap. If you're OptiFast, you get to have these bars. Now, bars count the same as the soup, because they're not the super sweet kind of shakes, they're a little bit different. So similarly, bars are going to act the same here. You could have 4 shakes, 1 bar. You could have 3 shakes, 2 bars. But again, you cannot have more than 2. Whether it's super bars, you can't have more than 2 in a day. If you're having 2 bars, that means 0 on the bouillon. And again, bouillon is optional. Say it one more time. It's an extra charge, okay? So when you come to order, you're going to do the best you can to order your shakes by guessing what it is that you like for flavor preference, okay? So on here, there's going to be different options. Nutrimed, there's chocolate, vanilla, mocha, wild berry, and then there's the different soup options. Creamy tomato and creamy chicken. If you're a tomato person, lean towards that. If you're a chicken soup person, lean towards that, right? Now, the other flavors, I hear different things. I often see chocolate get ordered a lot. So if you're a chocolate person, try to order more of the chocolate. If you're a vanilla person, try to order more of that. And again, you'll know if you like it or not after you've had that week. Next week when you come in for week 2, that's when you'll order it, you'll try them out, then you'll know. So in that respect, you want to make sure that you may want to order an additional box. Reasons why: you might completely hate one of the tastes, and it's going to be really hard for you to deal with that for the week. Reason number 2, people sometimes will spill their drink, and then they're out of a shake. Sometimes maybe you left someone's car. Whatever it may be, we often advise you for that week 2, when you come in next week to pick up your product, you want to order an extra box. Now, it's just a suggestion. Most students find it helpful. It is an extra charge. So see what feels good for you and for your financial implications, okay? Now, the other piece on here, the other pieces, there is a fulfilled chicken bouillon. That is an option. If you want to order that, you can. Again, additional fee. It's up to you. Fiber. I believe we chatted about that earlier. You do need to make sure that you're taking a fiber. You can take the one that's here, or you can take your own if there's one that you already use. If you're more on the constipated side kind of person, you're probably going to want to start by taking that fiber twice a day. If you're more on the loosey-goosey kind of side, you're going to want to take that more like once a day, and then see how that moves for you accordingly, right? So, and then, of course, make sure you pay great attention to Adit's medical talk for week 2. She's going to explain a little bit more about this and how that works. And also she'll explain to you about potassium. The only thing that I will reiterate, because I know she will talk about this, most of you are going to have a prescription of potassium. If you have that, make sure that you don't take potassium and fiber at the same time. The reason why is because you will lose that potassium, because the fiber will take it away. Okay? All right. So I think we've got everything on that. The only last piece I want to make sure is that you are taking all 5 a day. And if you have problems with taking all 5 a day, maybe you forget, or you're caring for others, or your schedule gets busy, make sure that you're connecting with your counselor to chat about that and troubleshoot and strategize and see how you can find a better plan. Okay? All right, let's have a seat for a moment so I can show you a couple more things. Don't forget, nice deep breath. And then we focus. All right. A32 in your binder. A32 in your binder is your program agreement. Now, I want to make sure that you read through every single line. This is not one of those forms where you just look at it and sign it. I want you to read through every single one. In my classes, we usually read every line out loud together. Now, I'm not going to do that with you today because things might be a little bit different with this program agreement, considering our unique situation. However, what I do really want to point out is number 17. So 17 says, abstain from all alcohol and street drugs while on this product. Now this is very, very important. You're on a very low calorie plan, and drinking just a little bit can make you a little bit woozy, and we really want to make sure that you're safe. So there's many, many other reasons why you need to abstain from alcohol at this time while on this product, but do make sure that that's something that you're following. So, if you have problems with that or any concerns with that, please connect with your counselor, see how we can support you. Okay. couple other things before we go. Caffeine, yum, coffee, all those good things. Now, you can have caffeine, however, you really want to limit that. So we want you to have up to 1 caffeinated beverage a day, up to 1, okay? Calorie-free, sugar-free. Now, if you're somebody who's drinking a pot of coffee a day, or 6 or 7 cups of coffee a day, that kind of thing, that's okay. This is your opportunity to change that. What I would suggest that you do is cut it in half. So if you're somebody who's high on that caffeine meter, you're gonna make sure that you focus on first just cutting it in half. So if you're at 6 cups of coffee a day, you bring it down to 3. And then from there, you cut it down in half again. Be compassionate with yourself, know that it takes time, and that you can't do this, okay? Other things that you can use, tea. Tea is wonderful. Green tea especially still has caffeine, has about 60 milligrams of caffeine, as opposed to 1 cup of coffee that has about 400. So just notice the difference in milligrams of caffeine and notice how you feel. Okay. Other things, keto breath, you might have heard about that. Sometimes you're gonna have this bad breath experience happen. You can chew gum, however, it has to be sugarless gum. And with gum, we want you to be limiting that to more like 2 pieces or less a day. So, deep breath if you're a gum chewer, okay? But really focus on how it feels in your body. For some people, when they're using these shakes and they're having the sugarless gum, sometimes it can give you a little bit of a bellyache. So check in, listen to your body. This is the opportunity for that. And last, congratulations. We're happy that you're choosing to be with us during this time and to nourish yourself and to increase your sense of wellness and well-being. So do pay attention over these next few days. Once you start the product, when you come in, those next few days that you're on it, sometimes you'll have a bit of withdrawal symptoms. You might feel a little lightheaded. You might feel a little bit extra tired. You might feel these kinds of things. Just notice that that's temporary. You will get through it. It's great to write down the reasons why you are doing this to help to support you to move forward successfully. Okay. So again, my name's Liz from Positive Choice. Welcome to your week 1, and we will be in touch soon.